Welcome back to the Daily Lift. Have you ever felt trapped? Like, no matter how hard you try, you just can't seem to break free? Like you're a prisoner to your own life? Maybe it's a bad habit or a sinful pattern or even guilt from your past. Being locked in a prison where the key seems forever out of reach is a terrifying thought. But Paul gives us hope. In Romans 6 and 7, he reminds us that our old man of sin, it was crucified with him, with Jesus, that the body of sin might be done away with, that we should no longer be slaves of sin, for he who has died has been free from sin. The Bible tells us that sin enslaves. It wraps its chains around our hearts and our minds, and it keeps us stuck in cycles of shame and failure. But the good news is, to the faithful Christian, those chains were broken at the cross. To the obedient, when Jesus died and rose again, he didn't just defeat sin, he shattered its grips on us. Imagine being in a dark, damp prison cell, and the weight of the shackles is dragging you down. Then out of nowhere, the door swings open and someone says, "You're free to go." That's what Christ has done for us. So what's the problem? All too often, we live as if we were still chained. It reminds me of how trainers would keep large elephants tied to a tiny peg with just a rope. See, when they were babies, the elephants were tethered to that same rope. And back then, they weren't able to break free. They weren't strong enough. But over time, they accepted the rope as unbreakable. Now, as a full-grown adult, capable of easily snapping it, ripping up that peg, the elephant doesn't even try. How often are we like that elephant, believing that the chains of sin and those habits still hold us back, even when Christ has already set us free? Breaking free starts with a shift in identity. Paul says the old man was crucified with Christ. That means the person that you once were, your last life, the one that was dominated by sin, it's dead and gone. You're no longer defined by your failures or held captive by those sinful habits. In Christ, you're a new creation, no longer a slave, but a child of God. But let's be honest, even when those chains are broken, it can still be hard to leave that cell. Sin is a stubborn captor. It whispers lies to us like, "You'll never change. This is just who you are." But in truth, the door is open. The chains are off, and the power of sin is no match for the power of Jesus. Freedom also requires surrender. We can't break the chains with our own strength. It's not about trying harder, but trusting deeper. The same God who raised Jesus from the dead is working in you to give you victory over sin. Our job is to lean on his strength, not on our own. And sometimes breaking chains involves community. We need to admit our struggles and seek accountability and surround ourselves with people who will point us back to Jesus. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend." This battle isn't meant to be fought alone. Letting God break your chains is about more than quitting bad habits, though. It's about stepping into the abundant life he has for you. It's about living free, walking in victory, and knowing that no matter how strong those chains feel, God's power is stronger. So, what chains are holding you back? Is it guilt, fear, addiction? Whatever it is, God can help you break them. He's not asking you to break free on your own. He's inviting you to trust him to do what only he can do. Step out of that cell, lay down those chains, live in the freedom that's already yours, and as always, go lift somebody up.